Hey, welcome to the first attempt at filming today.
So I did that thing where I pushed the button and it didn't. Yeah,
and it stopped the recording instead of started the recording.
Yeah, stopped instead of starting. And we had a really interesting talk about fast food, about
fast food, but
obesity.
Yeah, so I'm laying out a potential strategy of taking a road trip for us that would be about 7 hours one way, hopefully shorter back, to try fast food places we've never tried.
Yeah.
One of them being Casey's, which is a Midwest gas station chain.
Which I'd never even heard of until this moment.
No, so I was watching...
Several moments ago.
I was, watching Fat Electrician on YouTube, great channel, and he was talking about this and it being really good pizza. And then I've heard other folks talk about Culver's, which is a burger joint we've never tried.
Now, do we have, like, a Mid-Atlantic or Maryland-only fast food? Like, I think White Castle for a while was Mid-Atlantic only.
Yeah, though my first time having White Castle was actually in Ohio, so I don't know.
Ohio's like that weird, like, stepchild of the Mid-Atlantic. It's not quite Midwest. It has mountains. Like, it's...
It depends on where you are in Ohio.
Yeah, Ohio, it's a weird state.
And it's all memed by the kids nowadays. Like, Ohio isn't skibbity toilets.
Yeah, I don't get... have you heard of Italian brain rot?
No.
It's like the thing that's after memes, and memes make a level of sense. Mm-hmm. Italian brain rot makes 0 sense. I'll put some up for the kid. It's like memes. Mm-hmm. It's like AI generated images.
Okay.
And then they put like an Italian sounding phrase underneath it. So like the one that you know what, my son sent me one just because he was trying to explain it to me, and I'm old.
Okay, so this isn't something made by Italians, which could be offensive to my wife and her family.
Yeah. So this is one of them.
Oh, it's a shark wearing
sneakers, and it's apparently, and I'm going to mispronounce it because Andrew told me where the emphasis went. It's apparently tralalero tralala. That's it.
Oh, okay.
That's it.
Okay.
That's the whole thing.
Yeah, I mean, think about how humor for us slowly devolved from like really like cranial type stuff to just, I don't know,
to South Park's manatees moving the idea ball from one side.
But even before that, like Ren and Stimpy, getting really visual and funny that way. And I think that like that train just kept chugging along and getting stranger and stranger to the point where it's all just absurdity.
Yeah, it's all absurdity.
It's POMO, as Mo from Simpsons would say, weird for the sake of being weird. Yeah. But if we ever want to try the Fat Guy road trip,
I mean, we still owe ourselves that New Jersey pizza road trip.
I mean, gosh, if we took a couple of days and just went in a big circle, we might be able to accomplish a lot.
My wife and kids go to the beach in July.
Oh, interesting. We might need to think about this.
I mean, if we make it podcast material,
and if we start going through Pennsylvania and pick up a certain friend of ours,
interesting. Certain friend watches the podcast and is like, "I'm not a videographer." Neither are we, and we're doing it.
But just another person to join
and riff with us. Yeah, it'll be fun.
We'll see. Anyway, Columbus is where it would end for Culver's.
Okay.
And my understanding is there are many great used video game stores out there too. So if we were getting paid to do this would all be a write-off. And we could get tons of retro stuff, which would also be a write-off.
We can deduct any of this because, well, we have the business paperwork already, so we just haven't made any money.
Okay. Thanks, government.
Thanks for no one for sponsoring us after we literally said we were for sale last episode.
Celsius, we're waiting, bro.
Yeah, or one subscriber who wants to be our patron.
Yeah.
We told you guys we're for sale and no one bought.
No.
You know what that did to my ego? Nothing. It's unshakable.
But this has been a great couple of weeks for entertainments.
Yeah.
One of our favorite bands and most influential, Stavesacre, re-released their 4th album.
And it's a banger with their new mix and master.
Yeah, so they moved from Tooth and Nail Records to a larger label because they were getting...
Wasn't it Atlantic?
It might have been.
I don't remember.
And there was a lot of...
That could have been POD.
A lot of controversy with the mix. From what I understand, they didn't mic the drums properly. I don't know if it was didn't mic them as they recorded or mixed them, whatever it ended up being. There were great songs. I only listened to the album through once or twice because it was such a letdown from Speakeasy.
Well, Speakeasy is nearly perfect. It might be perfect.
It could be. I was telling you, I'm listening to it constantly right now. So it's self-titled, Stave Zaker.
Just spelled weird. It's spelled phonetically.
Spelled weird, yeah. But it's such a banger of an album. There are no skippable tracks. Maybe their cover of Rolling Stones.
Yeah, Painted Black is...
It's fun, but their cover of the Cure song, Fascination Street, was a 10 out of 10. Yeah. This is like maybe a 6 out of 10.
I've skipped it a couple times when I listen through.
Yeah, I get to the one right before, I forget the name already, World to Wait.
Yeah.
And then I'm just skip back to the beginning.
Sorry, it's now. Why don't we just stop the podcast and listen to the album?
Listen to the album in its entirety and then resume.
We're running around after this. Well, I'll put it on the car.
Excellent. Yeah. That's actually what's on in my car right now, too.
Yeah, just had to shuffle.
But there also Clarkson's Farm came back with Series 4.
Clarkson's Farm has been great
all
already.
But 2 episodes from completing the series.
I love the release schedule, and I hate that it's almost over.
Yeah.
I really love seeing Hammond and Clarkson interacting in person again.
Yeah, it was so great. And especially Clarkson's saying, you've been featured heavily in this series.
It's with Richard Hamm.
Poor Richard Hamm.
Poor Richard Hamm.
I was, my daughter was watching that with us, and it was... Yeah, this kind of stuff.
So Andrew walked in. My son walked in when they got their breeding bull and released it into the field.
Yeah.
So he walked in like he was out. My wife and kids were out, and he walked in right as the cows were trying to mate with the bull and doing it wrong.
Yeah.
And Andrew walked. He's like, I don't need to see this. And just walks out.
That's awesome.
Well, yeah, awesome. That was great.
It's been fantastic, and if you don't watch Clarkson's Farm, it's on Amazon Prime. Do watch it. Because we are desperate for the last 2 episodes, we just started the whole series over again. So we watched 4 episodes of the first season.
It's such good entertainment. I love. I mean, anything with the guys in it, I'll watch. I'm still annoyed you can't get access to Richard's show.
Yeah, the smallest cog.
The smallest cog. Yeah, it's really annoying that you can't.
Yeah, some blessed soul when it first came out uploaded. I want to say 90% of the first season on YouTube,
and I caught as much as I could before it got pulled down.
I was like, oh gosh, it was so great. I was really enjoying it,
and it's just like that Mitchell and Webb look, Mischief, there's all these British content. Or all these British content. Good grammar, Dave. That's why it doesn't come here. But it's all this wonderful stuff from England that I would pay money to have.
Yeah,
I'm perfectly willing to give my hard-earned money to have that content, and there's no licensing.
No, I mean, I guess you could get a VPN and you could subscribe to, I guess it's Discovery that has that. I don't even know if Discovery's around anymore.
I've tried that avenue, but you still need a BBC account. And I'm like, okay, well, that I don't have, because that's actually tied to your physical address, I think. So it's all tax funded.
You have to have a license.
Yeah, so you buy your license.
You must have a license, apparently, or they will come to your door and say, please buy the license.
Buy the license. Yeah.
Or go to jail or something. I don't know.
It's a police state over there.
Yeah, watch Clarkson's Farm and learn all about that.
Or just get on X for a day.
Right. Ugh. But the last thing I wanted to mention, Rippaverse, the indie comic series.
Isom 3.
I read it last night.
Yeah, me too. It was such a big book.
Yeah.
And a lot happened. And I was like, okay, I need to go back and reread 1 and 2, and then 3 again, just read all 3 in a row, because I was like, I vaguely remember that guy.
The one complaint I have is there was a conversation between Avery and his mom, and it was like, see, Great War of Separation #2 hasn't shipped yet. But that's okay.
That's okay.
Because it's not key to the story.
Right, and then Great War of Separation is all backstory to the greater Fluorspark world in the Rippaverse. So I'm looking forward to it.
But if you like comics, especially comics when they were good, check out Rippaverse.
Yeah. Rippa.
We could.
It's
lots of, and even to tie that in, I don't know if you saw but Nerdrotic, Gary Beekler. So it looks like Bueller at a glance, but it's Beekler.
Yeah.
His long-awaited autobiography is coming out via Ripascend.
Oh, I didn't see that.
And
that's
it's going
to
be a combination story and graphic novel.
Oh, that's great. That's really fitting. Yeah, I'm really curious to go through, especially his journey through addiction, incarceration, sobriety, all that. I'm really excited to
one
hear
of
the story.
Arguably the biggest YouTuber in the. They're going to call it alt-right. because it's anything that's
that
not
isn't
far left.
mainstream, far left, yeah.
But he's like super, I would say, very middle of the road guy.
Very middle. I mean, and he's got, I think at last count, 1.2 million subscribers or something. And 25% who haven't subscribed yet, or whatever it is. Yeah.
Yeah, but I became a fan during lockdown times, and at that time he was in the 100,000s, and then just grew exponentially over the last several years.
It's one of those success stories that we don't totally want to mirror.
No, not at all.
Yeah.
But so just for me, for a fan of normal things, these are all just normal things.
Like 1990s normal.
Yeah.
Roll credits.
Do the thing.
I used to be with it. Then they changed what it was. Now what I'm with isn't it, and what's it seems weird and scary to me. It'll happen to you.
We have much to talk about.
We do, and I love the idea of 1990s normal. I feel like there's probably going to be some overlap with what we do all episode.
Yeah.
Because 90s normal, yeah.
We were talking about one thing we would love to do if we ever got to the point where we could do this as more than just a hobby.
Yeah.
Is do sketches. And I was like, one thing we should do is our version of Unfrozen Caveman Lawyer, which is 90s guy just wakes up in the 2020s.
Yeah, or whenever. Maybe in the pandemic, that'd be kind of fun.
It would, but just
normal
says
90s
it does
guy.
normal 90s guy things, and then just finds out it makes him the worst person ever.
Right, yeah. It's
apparently.
like, you're just a normal human from the 90s, you're literally Hitler.
Yeah, you don't have any strong feelings about one political party. You don't care about this social issue to a specific degree.
Right.
Whatever.
Yeah.
It would just be pretty funny because
we as a society we've got a little off track.
Yeah, we were in our teens and for me early 20s in the 90s.
Yeah.
And then so we weren't adults back then, but
no, but those were our formative
very
years.
formative.
I mean, I would say, much as I would love to 10 years ago said, I was an 80s kid, I only spent 8 years of my life in the 80s. They weren't as impactful as the 90s.
Right. I was certainly a child in the 80s.
Right, but my transition from youth to adulthood was in the 90s, and that's when all my entertainment was, all my video games, all my music,
But we got all the best parts of the 80s being young kids, because we had malls and movie theaters and video rental places and toy stores. We hit adulthood
before the decline.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. All pre-internet.
Yeah.
Internet was 90s.
Yeah.
So,
internet. Yeah. Dial-up internet. Yeah. All that. And DSL and things changed in the 90s.
ISDN, is that what it was called?
Oh, yeah. That was the more than one cable. Like, wasn't that like 3 or 4 cables?
Well, it was a big thing if you went to college, and this is where Napster became a big thing because you had high speed, and most residences could only get dial-up.
I went to work for my little .com, and they had a T1 line, which I think is slower than what I have at home now. And but that was how you torrented things.
Yeah. And that's led to the crazy post-apocalyptic nightmare in which we live today.
It has, but in the 90s, when we were becoming men, there was a little pokey sci-fi show called Babylon 5.
Should we babble on about it?
Why don't we babble on about 5?
I've always thought, as a teen in the 90s, when watching this show as it aired, that Garibaldi reminds me so much of Bruce Willis.
Yeah.
And we got our Bruce Willis episode.
We got our Die Hard but on a space station. Yep. And I forgot to write down the name of the episode that we got.
Same here, because I literally watched it about 45 to an hour ago.
I have pages of notes on it because it's a very dense episode. Survivors. Okay, so this is season 1, episode 11, Survivors. We are 2 episodes away from the one I'm most excited about for a while in this season, and then 3 episodes away from the one I'm least excited about.
I don't remember, so it's all going to just be all new to me in my forgetful old man brain.
I'm opening up my notes because I sent them to myself.
I took no notes. I just watched it in preparation for the moment we are in now.
So this episode starts off with the announcement that Earth President Santiago, as part of his campaign for re-election, is making a state visit to Babylon 5.
Yes.
With that, there is going to be a new fighter wing that apparently had been due for like 2 years to be part Cobra Wing.
Yeah.
Who was supposed to be
Cobra Bay.
Cobra Bay, yeah.
Which is that's a great name.
That is a pretty great name.
Cobra Bay.
Cobra. Sorry, just saw...
If we ever
Cobra
get a
Commander.
studio, let's call it
Cobra Bay.
Yeah.
I like that.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, mark that down on your calendars. That we'll call it Cobra
Welcome
Bay.
to Cobra Bay.
So, Garibaldi and Ivanova have this great back and forth over the inefficiency of government, their expectations, yada, yada, yada.
She accuses him of having a very Russian attitude, which
Is great because I was starting to forget that Ivanova was Russian.
Right.
And it was really good of her to remind us because it had probably been 5 episodes since she brought it up. And that's a long time for Ivanova to not let us know she's Russian.
Yeah, and she didn't go full Chekhov and talk in the fake Russision accent the whole time. So
she doesn't typically do that. Now, they have their little back and forth, and then while they're doing that, there is an explosion in Cobra Bay, and a maintenance worker is jettisoned out into space. He is in some sort of vacuum suit.
Yep.
So he's not killed, but he's not in great shape.
No.
And of course, then it leads to the question: hey, the president's on his way. Is this sabotage? Is this an accident?
Right. So we get introduced to the security team for the president that will be preceding his visit.
Yep. And that is Major Liana Kemmer.
And
she and Garibaldi have a history, and that is where survivors come from. They knew each other 17 years ago when she was, quote-unquote, a sweet kid. He was friends with her dad. When she gets on board, it's all piss and vinegar. It's all like, oh, I'm taking over, you know. Who's in charge here? Not anymore, you're not. You know, that old meme. So, you know, she pulls rank, she pulls protocol. She's the one who's going to be leading this investigation because, you know, hey, the president's on his way, and this looks pretty shady.
Yeah, it does.
So, Garibaldi, rather than engage in that pissing contest, is like, fine, let her have it, and then kind of storms off in a very not normal Garibaldi way, and goes down to the Zocalo, and you know, Jeff tries to confront him about what's going on, like, hey, you know, why'd you just storm off?
A quick note on that particular scene. I wonder who, or if it was the director or someone who was like, I want you guys to make it very awkward with your pushes and stuff to, you know, to frame where you're standing.
Right.
It just kind of stood out a little bit.
Yeah, there was definitely some weird framing there. But before the altercation, while they're talking, Garibaldi's like, oh, I really need a drink. And he orders a water straight up, which is to remind the audience that Garibaldi is sober.
Right.
Gonna get into that.
Yeah.
So he sees the pickpocket or the shoplifter.
Yep.
It's
tries to steal the credits from the guy.
Time he's interacted with this guy. He gets very heated, does the awkward shoving,
and pops off on the guy.
Oh yeah, way overreacts for a shoplifting. And you know, the correct reaction was probably a 2 out of 10. Garibaldi brings it up to a 7.
Yeah. But Sinclair's there.
He's like, you know, break it up, get out of here, and like, what's your problem? What's going on? He's like, I got mad, whatever. Like,
right.
Yeah. So, but then we actually get a little backstory. We learn that 17 years ago, Garibaldi was stationed on effectively what sounds like Gotham. To tie it back into our last episode, full of corruption, full of crime. Half the security folks or more were on the take. The other were deep in the bottle or whatever. And Garibaldi's trying to clean it up, but it's not easy. It's not safe. It's not great. So he spends a lot of time either with Liana's dad and
Frank, I
think, and their family, like, spends a lot of his sober hours with them, and then his non-sober hours deep in the bottle.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, this is dangerous, this is deadly. So the Carmichael or whatever the gangster family is that he goes up against, they decide to get at him through Frank. So they rig an explosion.
Frank is like a taxi driver, essentially.
Like local freight, whatever. So they rig the landing bay. When he lands, boom, and then no one really wants to go digging because it's going to lead to bigger fish to fry. So they just put it up to negligence to Garibaldi. Garibaldi goes deep in his cups, and like that,
and gets a reputation from that point.
And this
forward.
is the start of Garibaldi's very bad reputation. Some of it earned. But yeah, this was the first domino to fall before his redemption arc of Sinclair hiring him on B5.
Yeah.
So we have all that about his past and his insight into Liana is that when Frank died, she died inside. So that's why she's so stern. That's why she's so duty only. Nothing else. Alrighty. Then we get to Medbay.
Yeah.
And our victim has been unresponsive. And in order to interrogate him, Liana decides to pump him full of drugs that will kill him.
Yep.
So that she can
wake him up long enough
to get a confession. And with his dying breath,
it was Garibaldi. Very dramatic.
Yeah, very. And
Half
of course,
his face burnt.
Michael just looks kind of nonplussed, like,
yeah.
What? And everyone else is sort of like, what the heck? But
well, I did notice Sheridan just didn't seem to accept it.
No, Sheridan knows his man.
Yeah,
like he's like, no, of course not.
Oh wait, did I say?
Sheridan.
Sinclair.
Sorry,
spoilers for season 2 through the rest
2 through 5 and all the movies. With that implication, then they need to search his quarters. So he's barred access while they're searching through it. And Liana's right-hand man finds blueprints and Centauri currency that's worth about 100,000 credits, which I don't know how inflation works, but
right.
back in the 90s, $100,000 was a ton of money.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, it's still a lot now, but it was
not as much as it used to be even 5 years ago.
Right. So Garibaldi there's physical evidence implicating him. They want to arrest him on the spot. So John McClane's his way out of the situation.
He certainly does.
Knocks out the male guard and runs, and then Liana checks on her man and tells her subordinates to pursue him, and Michael goes underground.
He does. He switches into his very dapper, totally 90s looking shirt.
So 90s. Meanwhile, they put up an alert to arrest him. Sinclair and Ivanova get that shut down and then create a maintenance issue so that they can't
communicate back to Earth.
outside of the station back to Earth so that they can give enough time for Jeff to figure out what's going on.
Yeah.
Try to, he doesn't believe Garibaldi's guilty at all. So he's got all these wheels moving. And then, of course, my favorite scene is Londo.
Of course, the relationship between Garibaldi and Londo is legendary.
Laying the foundation of that relationship in this episode, because with the Centauri currency, naturally the first person to talk to is, hey, where did this hard currency come from? This is pretty abnormal.
Perhaps the ambassador of the entire planet.
Right. So they talk, and it's just... I love every time Londo calls Garibaldi my good and dear friend.
Yes.
Yes. I'm like,
You're right.
Yeah. And he is.
They genuinely like each other.
They are at odds often because they're both similar creatures. And that's one of the things that Londo points out is, when he's like, why are you doing this? Why are you helping me? It's like, well, we're two of a kind. We're both outsiders. We're both, we both have our rocky past. And I want to, basically it's like, by helping you, I'm helping a version of myself, and I want to see one of us make it. So,
right.
Anyway, so as you can expect, Londo's one and only track is Blame the Narn.
Of course.
So
who else would it be?
Who else would it be but his rival? Yeah. So, we had all this hard currency that we used to free up, I don't remember if it was personnel or information from Ragesh 3, but early on in the season, that was the colony that was attacked by the Centauri.
Thanks for that reminder, because I had forgotten.
Yeah, so...
Time passes, old brain.
Right, yeah. So go back to episode 1 or 2 of Babbling On About 5, and that's when it happened.
Oh, maybe that's because you were babbling by yourself.
I was babbling by myself.
I would go and watch the episodes, too, just to be aware, but time has passed.
Yes, it has. So, anyway, we know the Narn have untraceable hard currency from the Centauri because of that. Michael then, of course, naturally goes to Jakar, and Jakar, being no one's fool, was expecting him.
Yep.
And just another great scene because my favorite non-human characters are Londo and Jakar.
Yep. I didn't know that by looking over your shoulder.
I have dolls of them.
You do. And posters that include them.
that feature that. And they are some of the only non-humans in that poster. Mm-hmm. No Sinclair.
Yeah.
No Sinclair.
Yeah.
There's also a lot of spoilers in that poster for later on.
Yeah. How much of that is in frame?
All.
Oh, cool. That's all right.
Well, it's been out for dickety and a half years.
We're getting close to 30?
That's why I said dickety and a half.
Okay.
Come on. Stay with me. Dickety Tim years.
20.
Yeah.
That darn Kaiser.
Jakar, of course, can explain where all the currency is, offers to show proof, but Michael being Michael, just like, I don't need to see the proof. Like, if you've got the proof, that's enough for me. Jakar disabled all the security cameras so that they could have their little conversation. Mm-hmm. And just the wheels of implication are spinning, but there's no real clear path to who's guilty, and all signs still point to Garibaldi.
Yeah.
So
now we get Garibaldi going through the sketchier parts of the station, talking to the praying mantis, which I love, even though it's
a silly thing.
It's a silly puppet, but it's great. So that part happens.
That part happens. You're right. That's right here in the notes, and I was just right there. And so he goes even. He almost gets caught there. Mm-hmm. So he has his intimate knowledge of the station is how he's able to escape, go through some hidden corridors, pop out from CD section to CDer section on his way to CDist section.
Yes.
In one of these dimly lit corridors, he encounters that shoplifter from earlier.
Yeah.
They have their little fist fight
with a chain.
Mm-hmm. And
totally not a plastic chain.
Totally
an actual metal chain.
Totally. You know that from the sound effects.
Yeah. You hear it.
You hear it.
Yeah.
There's not a Foley artist. They have their fight. He's doing well, but then two more dudes show up. Oh, because one of the things that the alien, the praying mantis alien said was that you are still police, but without. Oh no, it was Jakar who said it. That without your position, you don't have the protection, and you've made a lot of enemies. That was Jakar who said that, and then the praying mantis is like, "You're still police." Yeah, so that's how he talks.
That's actually literally how he moves too.
It's a very well made puppet.
Yep. It's the 90s, man. It's TV.
Yeah, it's fine. It's not
small
high budget. Yeah. Anyway, so he's now outnumbered 3-1, getting the ever-loving something kicked out of him, and
not Sheridan, but Sinclair
shows up and levels the playing field. Is able to extract Michael from the fist fight. Mm-hmm. They start having a conversation, but then, of course, that's the exact time where Gold Channel communication comes in, and he has to take it, and he looks away for just long enough
for Garibaldi to exit frame.
Yeah,
I don't know how he exited that large room they were in that quickly.
It doesn't matter. He's not. It's like an ostrich. If you can't see him, he's gone. So
gone.
Yeah. So then he goes to what I can only assume is a speakeasy. Like it's not on the Zocalo. I can't imagine it's a licensed establishment.
No, it's Happy Days.
DAZE
with the D.
With a bouncer.
Yep. He's hiding out at the bar. He's kind of next to this guy. Security comes in. He grabs the guy's hat, gives him a coin in exchange for the hat.
He did get some Centauri coins off of Londo.
Right.
Londo, to help him grease the wheels to get into ambassadorial wings and stuff like that, he had some hard currency from Lady Luck and whatever the goddess was. Right. I don't remember. Yeah.
So he does a little hat switch. The security guards come in. Don't look at any faces. Just look around. Garibaldi would never wear a hat.
Never. He's not. I've never seen him in a hat before.
Never once. Never again. To my knowledge, either.
No, he wears hats again.
Oh, darn it. But anyway, the guy was like, "Oh, you don't." The security leaves. He gives the guy the hat back. He's like, "Oh, you don't want the hat? Well, here, have the bottle." And that leads to Garibaldi
leads to him pouring his first of many drinks.
And the whole time you're watching, you're wondering, is he actually going to do it? Yeah. Like, he did a really good job of...
He did a great job of making it that far.
Because you're like, no, don't do it, don't do it, don't do it.
Yeah,
and he did it.
You can see the conflict. You can see him really wrestling with his own demons on whether or not, and then he knocks the first one back, which makes the second one okay.
Yep.
And then the second one makes however many happen until we get back to him, and the bottle's really low.
And he's very happy telling stories to people.
Yes, very, very happy. Yeah, so the alien who did the hat and the bottle, of course, knocks on the guy. Mm-hmm. Knows he's Garibaldi.
Of course.
So he calls it in for whatever reward, and security surrounds the bar, the speakeasy, Happy Days. And as Michael tries to exit through the back, He stumbles, falls to the ground, and the saddest line in the whole episode happens.
Yep.
Drunk again, Uncle Mike?
Yep. Ugh.
Drunk again, Uncle Mike?
Drunk again, Uncle Mike? Uncle Mike? Uncle Mike? Uncle Mike? Uncle Mike?
And he gets a little flashback to the young kid.
Yeah.
Saying the
Drunk
same thing.
again, Uncle Mike?
Yep. So he fell right back into his old habits.
That hurt.
Yeah.
That was just this show, it maybe 90s, it may look cheesy at times, but it'll get you.
Yeah.
It'll get you. So he's caught, he's interrogated. Meanwhile, Sinclair's got some other wheels in motion, trying to figure some stuff out. But during all this, the president arrives. Cobra Wing docks, the president's on his way, and as Michael is sort of coming to himself, still pretty hungover, he starts asking some questions. There's a whole lot of confusion. And then, who discovered this? Who discovered that? Interesting.
Yeah, very interesting.
All signs point to, did I write his name down?
Starts with a D, I think.
I did not write his name down. I just have him as her second in command. But we discover that it was the bomb was planted by the maintenance man who died. Turns out he wasn't expecting them to use whatever they were using to do the maintenance.
It was
set
like
the bomb off.
Plasma drills vibrated them just enough
to set the bomb off early. And then there turned out that there was evidence of him being in Home Guard, who we've encountered a bit before. We're going to encounter more as time goes on. They're very pro-Earth, humanity only.
Based.
Yeah, they're based. Like, I used to think these were the bad guys. Oh, wait.
Camera's rolling.
So, they just never had enough on him, he never did anything illegal. He just had some affiliations that weren't great. So they never had anything on him, but his choices led to his death. One of the things about President Santiago is that he is very pro-integrating with aliens, very pro-galactic community. So Home Guard hates him and does not want him to be reelected. As we discover, it seems that all signs point to Liana's right-hand man being in on it. He was the one who, by himself, found all the bride material in Garibaldi's quarters. He's the one by himself clearing Cobra Bay.
Yeah, he was going to check one last time. Not at all suspicious.
Not at all. So Michael, of course, starts egging Liana, like, you need to, like, what's it going to hurt to check by yourself one more time? Like, you're in charge. It would be totally normal for you to look.
Yep.
That makes sense. Her going by herself with just Garibaldi, that's not really military or police protocol. Like, it works for TV. Whatever.
Yeah, it does.
But
are we at the point where he gets to get on the comm and yell? Yeah. Where he really reminded me of Bruce Willis with his yell.
Yeah.
You'll see.
You're busy ordering pizzas.
Right.
Yeah. So, dude knocks out Liana with some sort of stunner, and is going to go for Garibaldi, but Garibaldi, being Garibaldi, gets
runs
in the
up,
mix.
kicks the gun away.
Yep. Fisticuffs ensue, and then he's able to comms up to Ivanova, who does not act quickly enough. Right. There's a countdown.
There is. She's like, Garibaldi, where are you?
It's like, just shut it out. Just stop it. Yeah. So, yeah.
1 second to go.
Yeah, 1 second, of course.
Yeah.
Because if you've seen Galaxy Quest, that's when the timer stops.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they stop it. Turns out that if it had gone off, they would have lost the bay, maybe half the station. There would have been countless deaths, including potentially President Santiago. Unclear if he would have been hurt, but it still would have been a major black eye for the station, which is supposed to be the symbol of us being citizens of the galaxy, not just of Earth. It would have been a moral victory for Home Guard, if not an actual fatality of the president.
Yep.
So everything kind of gets, it's a little bow on it. Everything, he gets reinstated.
Yep.
Has a good heart-to-heart with Sinclair, but is still pretty disappointed in himself.
He is, and who wouldn't be?
He should.
He went right back to his
he went
old
right
ways.
back to his addiction.
And Sinclair was like, well, the important thing is that you pulled yourself out of it.
And then he's like, well, what about the next time?
Yeah, and he's like, well, let's just hope there isn't.
Let's hope there isn't one, but also remember you're not alone. Like, include us. Like,
yeah.
And then we get our tearful farewell between Garibaldi and Lyanna.
Yep. She admits that it was a lot of looking for blood over looking for justice.
Yep.
And so kind of realizing her role in the whole thing,
right?
or her negative role.
That she could have utterly failed in her duties because she was so focused on who Garibaldi was 17 years ago.
Yeah.
And the damage that caused. But they connect over their shared grief. Michael, in a very amazingly emotionally mature way, is like, you don't need to apologize. You don't owe me. Like, he's like, that's,
yeah,
like,
that's who I was.
That's, right. This is totally reasonable. Like, everything you did was fine. Like, and that was just,
and just reminding her I think it was earlier that he would have died in her dad's place.
Yeah, and that, Michael was like, I died inside too. Like we both died that day. Like, all three. Like, your dad and the two of us all, like, we all died.
Right. But
we have to figure out how to go on.
Yeah. But they get their, it's not a cold goodbye, but a mildly warm goodbye. But then she turns
around and gives Uncle Mike his hug.
Yep.
And
so it just feels like some healing, some character growth. Some enemies become friends.
Some friends become enemies. We're all richer for the experience.
Yeah.
And again, this was episode of the week with some stuff that peppered in that might lead to larger, but
it's really good storytelling though to keep where our A story is is this other thing, but in the background we'll say the C story we're getting global politics or galactic politics that are setting the stage for things to come.
Yes, they are, and it's gonna punch as the season wraps up. But I love this show. Take away the aliens, take away everything. It's a diehard episode. It's a police drama. It's just, and it's a human story. It's addiction, it's failure, it's broken relationships, and it's in 42 little minutes they take you on a great journey.
And really 40 if you take out the opening and closing credits.
Yeah. And the little dun-dun-dun between commercial breaks. Yeah. Oh, that's 3 seconds right there, bro.
Oh, man.
Get a few of those in there, you're pushing a half minute.
Man.
Yeah.
But always recommend. I don't think is there a skippable episode? I mean, they're all great.
Episode 13 of this season might be.
Okay, well, we'll get there.
This might be, other than season 5, this might be the only one that I think is skippable.
All right, well, I'm curious to see how I feel about it once we get there.
I'm curious to see how I feel about it now. It's been about 5 years since I've seen it.
Okay.
We'll see.
Cool.
Well, that's Babbling On.
We have babbled on.
About 5. I need to recaffeinate.
When we get to our last segment, there's going to be a through line because earlier in our rambling introduction, you talked about poor grammar. Poor grammar is what leads directly into my problems with people.
George is getting upset. Oh, yes! That's what I should have said. We're living in a society.
So I told you when we were discussing our segments that I have problems with people for you. They're all for you because you and I are both neurotic in the same way.
Yeah.
But this one is for you. Grammar Nazi Dave.
I thought we decided like 20 or decade years ago it was going to be Grammar Bunny.
Right. Grammar Bunny. It's the friendlier.
To stop associating me.
It's friendlier mass
genocide. Right, exactly.
It's like... Never mind.
Yeah, we'll stop there.
I'm going to stop right there.
So it's Dave the Grammar Bunny is going to be into whatever you've got to say.
So, the other day, I overheard someone saying, I talked to so-and-so and so-and-so, and we are in agreeance. Now, agreeance, I had to look up because I wanted to be sure, is actually a word. So it's come in and out of the main vocabulary of English throughout the centuries, but is often used in place of agreement.
Right.
And while they are similar in their definitions,
agreement
is the correct term for that. So I have right here.
Yeah, agreeance.
Agreeance. This is our first word. Now, I remember way back in our 20s, the church we were going to at the time, the pastor used this, and you had to, after the sermon, let him know that agreeance was not a word. Forget all the good stuff that may have come from that sermon. Your moral obligation was to tell him, just so you know, sir, agreeance is not a word. And
I'm a delight to be around.
I mean, I'm dying as you're doing this. So I love it. But
which Which church?
This would have
Mega?
been the movie theater church.
Oh.
Okay.
Oh, I'm friends with that guy
I
still.
know.
How am I still friends with him?
He might be watching at some point. Who knows?
Hey, buddy.
But it was really
Wow.
but him being a person with a great sense of humor, he could have cared less whether it was a word or not.
Now that you've said that, it has come up in text with him. See, he's moved to another state, but we keep in touch. Yeah, he has needled me about that, and I forgot.
Really?
Yeah, so he remembers that.
Thank goodness. That makes it even
We're very
better.
good friends, by the way. I didn't ruin it.
It's like in Patriot games, not Patriot games, Clear and Present Danger, when he's trying to, the president is tied with a guy who had the drug association. He's like,
we're not good friends. We're great friends. We're not great friends. We're lifelong friends.
Yeah. So just keep
When
telling
he
it-
comes to
keep
this
telling
state,
it, Dave.
I'm one of the people he visits. For good. I'm gonna call him.
Yeah.
Okay. What else
All
you
right.
got for me?
Well, so that just got me
Yeah.
on the whole thing of words that are often that either don't exist or are incorrect in some way. The next one being
Supposedly.
supposedly. This is not a word.
That is not a word.
This
It's
is-
supposed.
supposedly.
Yes.
I don't know how this one came to be. I really
I
don't.
have theories,
Okay, but
but none of them are polite.
okay, but yeah, I hear it all the time. I think there was even an episode of Friends where Joey used it and got called out for it.
Chandler would probably call him, or Ross. Either one would call him out
Yeah.
for that easily.
Yeah, but it's out there. It's still used to this day. We've
heard-
had decades of proof that it's not a
You
word.
have already, in my work week, covered 2 words I've heard in the office this week.
Excellent.
So let's see if we can get it.
Okay, the next
hat
one,
trick.
Now the next one. This is a word.
Yes.
This is the word loose.
Yes. It means not tight.
Now, every time I get emails at work,
Yeah.
instead of saying that this is we lose, we have,
Yeah.
or we're losing, or loses,
Yeah.
I get loose
Yeah.
or looses.
Yeah.
Because Lou has the
Yeah.
long O,
Yeah.
and it would make sense
For it
right?
to be lows, not lose. Yeah.
But
But that's loose, not
it
lose.
is. So this is one of those things where
English is an easy language to learn, they told us.
they did, and
They're liars.
And it's one of those things when I can give some credit to people because if you hear a word versus read a word. So
Yeah.
say you watched Dune and
Yeah.
you heard Lizan El Gaib or
You've just covered a thing I know how to spell.
okay, but most people
Most people
wouldn't.
wouldn't.
You would just
because most people haven't read
phonetically-
Dune 7 or 8 times.
So
Yeah.
you would have to. So I can grant a little bit of grace, but every time I see this, the first time it was actually I want to say 15 years ago. The manager for a team sent out an email because one
Yeah.
of the best guys on the team was moving on
So
to somewhere
you-
else. So
you were
it
going
was
to
like,
lose him?
Blah blah team loses another, and it just drove me so crazy. And I still get it today.
Yeah, I get that
Not-
one.
not
That
as
one is
often.
not that often, but I see that a couple times a year, probably.
But do you get it? A lot.
As an allotment, or a lot.
A lot. This is another commonly misused phrase.
So there are 2 correct things, and that's the incorrect one. Mm-hmm. A lot, A-L-L-O, or A-L-T, yeah, allotment.
To a lot.
To a lot, yeah.
To a,
Or a space lot being a quantity.
right. So a lot partition a certain amount for
Yeah.
or whatever you would say.
Right.
Often misused. Drives me crazy, but not as crazy as the next one.
Oh boy. Should've. It hurts us.
Now, there is a phrase in English. Sort of.
Sort of.
Sort of. How do you like the movie The Phantom Menace?
No. Oh, sort of.
Sort of.
Sorry, I should be playing along. I apologize.
You denied the premise.
This is a backstory we didn't agree upon.
So yes, so I believe it is because of sort of that should have
could have, should have,
which is
are
should
yeah.
apostrophe ve,
Yeah.
which is
Right.
what do they call it? A contraction.
It's a contraction.
A contraction. The thing that the Terminator couldn't do.
Right.
I hate it.
Yeah.
That's all I have to say. Do you have more-
Should of. That so far, everything else does not get my pulse up. Should of.
And again, it could go right into that. I've never read a book or anything in my life, but I hear people say, I should have done that. I could have done that. I would have done that.
Yeah.
You hear it.
You hear it, you're like, oh.
Should have.
Of.
Yeah.
not apostrophe
Should've-
VE.
I blame the public school system for this.
There's so much to blame them for.
Yeah, don't send your kids to public school if
Yeah.
you have the opportunity not to. Homeschool is the way.
Yeah,
Do it.
do it.
Both of you
no
work.
regrets.
None. Both of you work. One of you stay home. You'll save so much money on everything else.
Yep.
Just
Figure it out.
Just stop.
Just figure it out.
This is
Make
me
it work.
giving the best advice you'll ever get in your
Yep.
life. Okay, now this one I blame on warmongering President George W. Bush.
Oh boy. Strategery?
No.
That's that.
Misunderestimate. You misunderestimate.
I needed a couple more to pad this out. I was
Okay.
like, hey, Google, what are often misused words that don't actually exist? And this was on the list. Misunderestimate.
Yeah.
I don't hear this one often,
No.
but it's out there. Blame him or Will Ferrell as him in SNL. Maybe that's where that's in my brain from.
fully.
But yeah, that one is out there. And then you already said the last word that I have, which is irregardless.
Yeah.
And this is it was a stand-up comedian who said, like, so his family was from Mexico.
Irregardless.
Yeah,
I remember that. Yeah.
And that was like his dad's favorite
Yeah,
word in
yeah.
English, but it's a
It's
word
not
that doesn't
a word
exist.
that doesn't exist,
Yeah.
yeah.
It's just regardless.
Yeah.
But irregardless, it sounds fancy. And I think
I blame flammable and inflammable for that one. They mean the same thing.
They do. You hear inflammable, it,
was like, oh,
cannot,
sweet.
it cannot flam, but
yeah. Invaluable and valuable.
yeah. Why?
Yeah.
Why?
Right. Why
English
is
is
invaluable
weird.
and priceless or worthless and priceless? Like, it's just
Yeah.
it's an easy language to learn. It's not. You know what's not true? I before E except after C. There are more instances that break that rule than prove it.
I learned that in the last 5 years,
Yeah.
and everything that I've come to know as true is a lie.
Yeah.
I don't know how to proceed anymore with this
No.
stupid junk language that we speak.
I don't blame you. We should just give up on speaking.
However,
Except
the entire world has to speak it. This is the language of commerce.
and if we stop talking now and just keep running the cameras, our view count is going to drop sharply. And
Yeah.
it can't afford to.
English is a strange language. It's an amalgamation of
Yeah.
Latin and German and probably other things
Probably
too.
other things, yeah.
And so we took the worst and left the best for the other languages.
And then decided to export it to the world and be like, y'all got to catch up.
yeah.
Because of the dollar.
Right. You want to build skyscrapers and
Yeah.
drive electric cars?
Yeah.
Hey, buddy.
Buddy, talk good English at us. Talk good American at us.
Yeah, yeah. Not English. Talk American
not the King's English.
No. Which is just a fantastic version
Yeah.
of what
it's
we
just
speak.
it's just posh American.
Right. Some would argue more correctly.
yeah.
But that is my problem with people. I know it's a deep, abiding problem
It
for
is
you.
one that I have had to, for the sake of interactions with my fellow humans, just abandon.
Yeah,
I was fine being the grammar bunny in my 20s because people found it hilarious.
Yeah.
To get so riled up. But then in my 30s, like, I have to work with people or, interact at gatherings. I should just shut up.
And I should note that this particular thing spans all people groups, all levels of education. It irregardless
of your supposedly well-educated background.
that
Yeah.
you should have spent more time studying a lot.
Yeah. And we're in agreement on this.
We are. Don't misunderestimate what we're saying.
Now let's go to the ATM machine, enter our PIN numbers, so we can party with our cash.
I should have included those too because I remember you also getting the grammar bunny hopping about madly.
Right.
The M in ATM is for machine.
Yes, it's either an AT machine or an ATM.
So you're like, I'm going to go to the ATM teller machine. I'm going to enter my PIN identification number. You were like, if you're going to do it wrong, I'm going to do it more wrong.
Wrong guessed. Yeah. Oh,
Good
you know what's
times.
startling? I still have friends. That's baffling.
I think your eccentricities are endearing, and I think everyone else does too.
Those two are for me.
Right.
And with that, I guess we still have problems with people.
Yep,
but we're done with the segment.
We're done with this.
You know, we're living in a society.
That was pretty dope.
Yeah.
All right.
Great.
You seem to have the segment order over there, and I don't know what we said we were doing immediately after problems.
Blind spots.
Oh, sweet.
So this is.
Do you have your clear stands?
Yeah, right here.
Sweet. Because we didn't do the poster board because the new format. The poster board really doesn't fit, or the easel.
This has quickly become this, I guess, roll the thing.
Without telling me it had a blind spot, I could have been killed. Now, Biff, no, I never noticed that the car had any blind spot before when I was driving.
This has quickly become the segment where we do not succeed.
Okay, so I don't know. I feel like anything I say to try to help you, you're just gonna get in your own head.
Okay.
Because I picked. This is the reason I made big screen blind spots. It's this one.
Okay.
But I wanted to build up to it with others first.
Okay.
So that we could get to this one. And this is going to be
So this has been stewing in your mind for a better part of a year now.
about a year now. Yeah, this was the first one I ever wrote down.
Okay.
And I almost didn't have my printouts. I brought my evidence. So this is the films of Mr. Steven Spielberg. So I print 4 at a time, and then the 5th.
Okay.
So I printed the 5th, it came out just fine. But when I tried to print the 4th, for the first 2 attempts were not. So I struggled with my printer because I share it with people under 30, and they've been printing decorations for their bedroom walls. So
I know what you speak. Do you have a printer that does the ink subscription service?
No, you've talked about this.
I highly recommend.
I know.
Now it probably spies on you,
Probably.
and so it knows all of my Earth Force alignments. But,
Right. I should have put this in some sort of alphabetical.
Because it's connected to the interwebs, it knows when my ink is running low, and will just send me some in the mail, and it gets there before I run out.
All right, we'll do alphabetical, just because I didn't have them in release
talk
order.
more about the HP Tango printer.
Well, that is so on point with big screen blind spots and all the hot printer talk in all 5. Like the through line isn't Steven Spielberg; it's printers.
right. We as a podcast need to be able to print effectively, reliably, affordably, and high quality, and that's why I trust HP Tango.
One of these days, it's just going to be like, oh crap, we forgot to pay those guys, and we're sponsors. We'll just trick them. We'll trick them into being sponsors by just acting like they already are.
Yep.
All right. So alphabetically, our first film.
Yes, Empire of the Sun, featuring a young Batman.
A young Batman.
Christian Bale. There we go.
Okay.
E.T., featuring a young Drew Barrymore.
Yep.
Have Christian Bale and Drew Barrymore ever been in a film together, I wonder?
I don't know. That's a question for another day.
This is a great movie. Rufio. Pogo does a great song, Bangarang.
Yeah, Bangarang's great. Also, we'd many times in the last 12 months, Mr. Bob Hoskins has come up, and he's Smee in this.
He is.
So I was like, oh yeah, we could just make a Bob Hoskins podcast.
We could, actually. He's been in so many things.
So many, and a lot of formative movies for us.
Including Roger Rabbit, which I have not watched. So as young kids, it was
I've watched it in the last
Jessica
year or two.
Rabbit is too sexy, you can't watch it.
Yeah.
Eventually we were allowed to watch it. She was definitely too sexy.
Also, sorry.
But it was
Yeah.
highly entertaining.
Yeah.
And of course, Doc.
Christopher Lloyd.
Thank you.
And just recently watched Romancing the Stone. And our Mrs.
Lady who's in that is the voice of Jessica Rabbit.
And has the most sultry voice of a human woman on the planet.
Except for what's her name from The Expanse.
I talk like this. I will rain hellfire down on them all.
The one who chews her cigarettes, doesn't smoke them.
Right.
Yeah. All right.
Great actress, though, and lovely. Schindler's List. Only seen it once, never going to see it again.
And lastly,
yes, the remake of War of the Worlds with Tom Cruise. The making the peanut butter sandwich at the house scene still stands out.
Yeah.
There are so many excellent shots in this movie, but Tom Cruise's performance with that, where he's 10 out of 10 stressed out with his children that are estranged.
Yeah.
Like, we just got to eat some food right now. Hey, guys, I'm going to make some food for you, all right? Say hi to your mother for me.
I was like, wow, he got recast. I didn't know he got recast. Mr. Wahlberg took over. All right. So, to refresh those, or those who are new, or a refresher, the rules for Big Screen Blind Spots are we have 5 movies on a theme, and it is Tim's job to tell me where they sit in my 5 categories. I watch it religiously.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's over or underrated.
Mm-hmm.
I have never seen it. I saw it in the theaters. I'm missing one.
Never seen it?
Never seen it. Theater, over, underrated. Religiously. Shockingly late in life.
Shockingly late.
Shockingly late in life.
We're super prepared.
Yeah.
All right.
So, I don't know how you want to attack this list.
All right. I'm going to attack it with the. I'm going to try to get what I think are the safeties out of the way.
Okay.
So safety. I want to say that E.T. is watch religiously or regularly.
Okay.
So that is my first choice.
All right.
Watch.
Okay.
No.
And he has to get 3 to get a point.
3 to get a point.
And a bonus point for each above 3.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And then maybe even 10 points if I guess all of them. And then win.
You need points
and then
if you're ever going to get that trophy.
And I win indefinitely.
Indefinitely, yeah.
All right. And then the next one I'm going to go for is theaters, which is Hook, because I remember going to see this. Comic books in the 90s. The hook that you see, the titular hook, was all that it would be printed on the back of it. And the hype was
many
real.
issues in our personal collections that still have that.
Yeah. And so I know we saw this in the theaters. I don't know what else. Now, you could have seen could have seen War of the Worlds in theater.
It's possible.
And often there will be overlap, but you can put a film.
But it can be true for 2 movies, but if it's only true for 1.
Mm-hmm.
So there are movies on here that I saw. There are movies plural that I've seen in the theater.
Yes,
but there's only one that's the only thing that counts. So
okay, so I'm going to then say, since it's closest to me, that Empire of the Sun is your shockingly late in life.
Okay,
that is my pick for that.
All right,
for me it was also shockingly late in life, and also a fantastic movie.
Okay,
all right, so I've got Schindler's and I've got War of the Worlds.
Yeah.
I'm going to go ahead between the two because I think War of the Worlds is not over or underrated. I think it's hits the sweet spot of what it's meant to be. That Schindler's List, because it got so much praise and so much acclaim, that you're going to say it's overrated because maybe it insists on itself.
Wow, okay. I like
that story of the Holocaust, that horrible thing that most likely happened. We'll never know.
Okay.
That we're going to say that you think it's
maybe over or underrated. It's one of it is.
Can I say because
it's not in its correct superlative?
Maybe you think it's underrated because of the atrocity that was committed against the Jewish people.
Or maybe I think it's overrated because, like Citizen Kane, everyone talks about it too much.
Yeah. It's in black and white. Everything except the red dress or whatever. Artistic
so
integrity.
So that leaves this as I've never seen it.
Oh.
That's what you just did.
Oh. Did I do that? And we just talked. Okay, hold up.
So you may want to reassess your entire lineup.
I'm going to have to reassess my entire lineup here.
Yeah. Because there's only one of these I've never seen.
All right, so let's go ahead and say, because I didn't realize the last category was that, because I don't have a board in front of me to tell me what is what. All right, I'm sticking with these two as correct. Okay. I'm going to say... Ooh... I'm going to say maybe you've never seen...
Okay.
Wait, but that was later in life. This still has to be... Oh, you've really pulled a number on me, sir. I'm going to keep... Ooh. You've never seen Schindler's List. I only saw it once and never, ever need or want to ever see it again.
Okay.
So you've never seen Schindler's List.
Okay.
Theater. Regularly / religiously. I'm going to say regular.
Okay.
Instead of religious.
Okay.
Because I'm regular and religious.
Okay. You're a regular guy.
That's what I like about you. Yeah.
I want you to stay regular.
Thanks, buddy.
All right.
You're going to... So... Keeping this shockingly late in life, that's Empire of the Sun, is shockingly late.
And then this is the superlative over or under.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's where I'm at.
Cue celebratory music.
Really?
5 for 5.
I did the thing. 10 points.
10 points, apparently.
Give me the trophy. Get out of my basement. No, keep it over there. Keep it over there. We haven't determined.
No. We'll have to go back through. So, 2 months ago.
Okay. For me, it was like 2 years ago.
Okay. I don't know about the tone of this film.
Yeah.
Like, it is a heavy topic, and at times it feels like it's trying to be Goonies, and at other times it feels like a heavy war movie. It is a very uneven movie. Worth it, worth your time.
Yeah.
Just, you hear Spielberg, you hear war. I don't know what I was expecting, but it wasn't this.
Yeah, I did like, I mean, so it's a prison camp.
Yes.
You got a young Christian Bale.
Right. It is China during World War II, during the Japanese occupation of China, and there are Westerners who lived in China, British, Australian, maybe some Americans, I'm not sure, and they all got put into prison labor camps, and there's atrocities, and it's from the perspective of a young man, young boy, so it's not super dark, but it kind of should be.
Yeah.
I don't know. For the subject matter, the tone didn't sit for me.
Gotcha.
It's a good movie.
Yeah.
Just weird. The tone was weird.
Yeah.
I do think this is underrated.
Okay, good.
Because I think this is an excellent film.
It's so
and I think
freaking good.
People think it's good, and I think it's excellent.
The scene in the basement with
Tim Robbins.
Yeah. Dude. I mean, there's so many good scenes in that movie.
There's only a couple, like, I have a couple quibbles, like his son surviving.
Yeah.
Like, that just felt very Hollywood. It didn't feel believable. It's like, oh, you clearly didn't. Oh, no, there you are. Okay.
Yeah.
Hulk, of course, in the theaters with you. E.T., of course, regularly, religiously, however you want to word it.
Regularly.
Okay. I tithe to E.T. And then Schindler's List. When you know for a fact the movie is going to be a massive bummer, like, you got to be in the mood for it.
Yeah.
And the mood for, I know the subject matter. I know everything I need to know about this film. I don't want to watch it. I've been in the Holocaust Museum. I don't want to watch a dramatization.
I will say, it's while expertly made, there's no need
brutal.
to watch it.
I don't need
There's
to.
Literally no.
Don't need to put my soul through it.
No. And the
older I get, the less I want to.
Yeah, for me, I saw it in my late teens, early 20s.
Yeah, that's about when.
Roughly, yeah. And it was a tearjerker. Yep. It was really rough to watch, and never, ever, ever going to watch it again.
Right. Yeah. So I don't want to. Like, it's just too much.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I'm glad that you don't find it over or underrated, because then.
When you said that, I was like, wow, I can see where you're going with this. I don't know where. Right. Yeah.
Then either we're puppets of Israel or supporters of Hamas or something. Yeah, that's a touchy one to be. Yeah, touchy place to be. I just
didn't want to watch a bummer of a film. I don't need to see man's inhumanity to man.
No.
It's a bit much. Yeah. So I guess that wraps up our most successful. Is this the first 5 for 5?
I think it might actually be.
We would have to go back, but I think it is. I think it is the first 5 for 5.
And I have done it with a prompting from you, because my own stupidity did not realize the last one was going to be.
I could have let you walk right into that.
You could have.
Could have.
That happens a lot.
And you would have gotten 1 point instead of 3 because you had Schindler in the wrong place.
Oh.
So, yeah.
I did it. 3 whole points. This is the most points I've ever had. I'd like
maybe an entire season.
I want to thank God. I want to thank my family. Just giving it up for Biggie.
I mean, just remember, you didn't build this.
No.
Everyone around you built it.
That's right. So thanks, everyone.
Thanks, everyone.
From the bottom of my heart.
All right, well, that wraps up Big Screen Blind Spots. We can put these away.
Tis a wrap.
Yeah. And then you've got your choice for our next segment, which I totally was on board with.
This is Game On.
Game On.
Game On. Wayne's World hat right over my shoulder.
Game on! Game on!
So, I did only one small piece of research for what we were talking about, which is Half-Life 2, the masterpiece, one of the best video games ever made. If you are a gamer, a lifelong gamer, if this isn't in your at least top 10, and really more like top 5, then I question your integrity. This is one of the best video games ever made. So this video game came out in 2004, and I wanted to know the date because my first impression on having recently replayed 90% of it, I'm not done yet. Blah blah blah. Life. When you go back and play a game from back in the day, you often find why did I enjoy this? The controls are rough.
I experienced
like
that
Soul
recently
Reaver.
with Soul Reaver, which I loved, and I can't play it. I still love the story, and I love everything about it except playing it.
Yeah, and I looked at that game specifically. That was 99. So there's like
there's a 5-year improvement.
Yeah,
and it's a different engine.
But this was a revolutionary game too. Mm-hmm. It introduced the Havoc physics engine.
Yes, it did.
But what I was getting at is that this is a game that is now, I mean, math's 20 years old plus.
It's dickety and then one dickety and a half. Yeah.
Yes, and it plays like a modern game.
Yeah.
I cannot find a flaw with it.
Nope.
In replaying, except that maybe it's just a little harder than games today, but that's not a flaw.
No, that's my experience when I went back to the Master Chief Collection of Halo. Halo 1's hard. It really is hard.
It is, but that's a great game too. The remake of 1 is fantastic. But this particular game so it's a first-person shooter, but it also has puzzle elements, and it has lots of story elements, and just I have to calm myself down. It is a fantastic Vidya game.
It is. So my research was firing up Steam this morning, downloading it, and playing 45 minutes when I meant to play 15.
Oh, yeah.
And crap. I was hoping I could get up to Ravenholm.
Ravenholm. We don't go there anymore.
Yeah, we don't go to Ravenholm. I was hoping to get up, but that's...
You have to get through all of the boat, or whatever not boat, what is that thing that hovers?
Yeah,
hovercraft.
I didn't even get to the hovercraft yet. Yeah. That's when you got the antlions and stuff.
No, that's when you get to the buggy.
Oh, that's the buggy.
So you start in the city and making your escape.
Yes.
And then
So I'm still making good my escape. I'm in and out of sewers.
Okay, yeah, you got a ways to go yet, because eventually so the whole point is your character was supposed to teleport over to
where Alex
is,
went,
who's the daughter of your scientist friend from the previous game, and from there you make your way over to where the resistance is, so you can ultimately fulfill your quest. But yeah, you have to, because the teleport fails, you got to go through the sewers and face lots of
fight your way out through all sorts of men and creatures, and I'm very early. I have a flashlight, a crowbar, and a pistol.
Yeah,
so it's still very early.
Yeah, so a little almost up to the halfway point of the narrative, but maybe not the game, is where you get the gravity gun, which is where things really change.
Fun.
So this is what really sets this game apart from the shooters previously, other than the leaps in level design,
right?
Storytelling.
This is again, to your point. This game is 21 years old. I downloaded it this morning and I played it, and I couldn't tell.
A part of that too is Steam.
Oh, Steam is constantly updating the
They recently they up-resed it. They added HDR, so you get really dynamic lighting and stuff. But it's still,
but I mean, the feel of it was.
And I play with a controller because I'm
old.
I'm just not. I can't go back to keyboard and mouse. It's been too long. Yeah, I've been a console gamer for so long.
Yeah, and we acknowledge that PC gaming is the gaming master race.
It is.
We are aware that we are scum. But we just.
Yeah, though with the state of current consoles and games becoming so bloated in their budgets and then disappointing in the outcome.
We might be PC gamers really quick.
Yeah, I think the PS5, other than Switch, I might get the Switch too, but I would say...
Yeah, PS5 might be my last.
It's probably my last console. Yeah.
Unless things take a massive turn.
The only exception I could think as part of getting the PS5 was also to get 4K Blu-ray player, and... a good 4K Blu-ray player is like $100 less than a PS5. Well, just get a PS5.
Yeah, just get a PS5.
So then you also can have games.
Yeah.
So if whatever the next format is, as a proponent of physical media, that might sway my decision. But strictly for gaming, probably it. Outside of Nintendo, unless they start going crappy like Sony and Microsoft. But that's not what we're talking about.
We're talking about Gordon Freeman.
We're talking about Gordon Freeman. The Freeman.
Yeah.
So
Gordon means fortress.
Does it?
Yes, because my son's middle name is Gordon.
Nice.
And it means fortress.
And it's a family name, too.
It's a family name.
Yeah. But my first encounter with Half-Life 2 was in the orange box, which was for Xbox 360. I think it was also PS3.
Yeah, and it was packaged with Portal.
Another fantastic game, taking advantage of the physics engine that was made for this.
Loosely existing in the same world. They mentioned, Portal acknowledges Half-Life. Half-Life does not acknowledge Portal.
Yeah.
So,
but Portal is also a fantastic game. And then Team Fortress, which started the whole like online. Well, it didn't start, but made more popular.
That and Counter-Strike, I think, were the big ones.
And that led to things like PUBG and Fortnite.
Yeah, and like
Call of Duty going
Team
that
Fortress
way.
did a whole bunch of like spin-off stuff, like I know, like rocket jumping. Dave, who watches, was big on doing the rocket jumping stuff.
Nice.
I think. If I misremember, call me out.
If you misunderestimated.
I misunderestimated him. Yeah. Maybe you should just estimate me. So yeah, to your point, it was a pack. Did it have episodes 1 and 2 as well in the orange
yes,
box? Yeah.
yes.
So you had. So the running joke about Valve is they don't know how to count to 3.
Right.
Because you get Half-Life 1, Half-Life 2, Half-Life 2 Episode 1, Half-Life 2 Episode 2, stop.
Yep.
Portal 2, stop.
And what's baffling is that all the games you just mentioned are all fantastic and had
profitable.
And had a huge following.
And everyone wants sequels.
And this ties back directly to when we were talking Sierra Games, because they, as I mentioned in the previous episode, help publish.
They help publish. Yeah.
The original Half-Life. A nice little through line there.
Yeah.
A through line that will continue, which is coincidences or things happening for a reason.
Yes, indeed. Spoilers.
Yeah, indeed. But yeah, it's there's an excellent documentary about the making of Half-Life 2, because this is a 5-year development process, because they were building the engine simultaneously with the game. Lots of issues and errors encountered along the way. They had to deal with. I think the source code was leaked, or the beta was released and it contained the source code, and there was all this stuff just making it a Herculean effort to get this game out, to get it playable, and I guess there was the whole thing, if we wait too long, is the hype from the original going to die down, blah, blah, blah. But it's out there on YouTube. It's a free documentary. I forget who makes it, but if you just
you can find
punch in Half-Life 2 documentary.
Here's how you use the internet.
Exactly.
Go to your web browser.
Or spin up your YouTube app on your phone and just type it in, and then spend the next 2 hours watching. It is excellent, because it brings all the people back that worked on it. So you get the insight from there. Some fun stuff too was trying to find actors to do to map the faces on for different characters. They just found people off the street.
Oh, cool!
And then I think there was only a handful of people that did all the voices. So there's so many voices in it's like 1 or 2 people.
That's pretty great.
Yeah, so it's pretty cool. But as a video game, it is fantastic, because you're doing your standard first-person shootering, and then you're going onto vehicles, which I don't know. This is probably not the first time it happened, but
I think Quake 3 had some, and it's all in that same late 90s to early 2000s,
I think
where the
Halo
shooters
had come out around that time too.
So there's definitely vehicular combat is getting more normal in a FPS.
But this is all. They did it best. Is what I'm getting at.
I mean, the thing about Half-Life 2 is, full stop, they did it best.
They really did.
They did everything.
I can't think of a game, particularly a first-person shooter, in that same vein that has topped it.
Yeah, I don't know.
I'd have to really. I didn't do much thinking about that. There was one that I played that I really enjoyed. Area 51. This was a game that came out. Was it original Xbox or Xbox 360?
I'd have to go back. Yeah,
and it wasn't as diverse in its gameplay as Half-Life is, but it was one of those that kind of went under the radar, but was really well done.
And I've thought about it didn't ring a bell, so I'm gonna have to look it up.
I think David Duchovny did the voice of the protagonist.
Of course he did. Yeah.
So
very
I think that was
nose.
a big selling point. But I was that just popped off the top of my head as like a game that would maybe come close in terms of fun. Was it Prey for Xbox 360?
Yeah.
That was
a good
where
one.
it was unique. Gravity was fluid. And so the level design was really cool. But but the big thing again we were getting on was the gravity gun. So this is a weapon or an item in your inventory. You could pull things towards you and launch them out.
And then it turns out that like a hardware store exploded on the map and just left circular saw blades.
Well, that's when you go to Ravenholm.
Yeah.
So you have this is the best part about that particular level. This is the survivor horror element.
Yeah.
Basically these aliens that are zombies. So it's these things that attach to people's faces and then control them and make them mindless hordes. You have limited health, limited ammunition, and a horde of enemies.
Yeah.
And you have to find your way through this town where different things have been boarded off. So
and there's very obvious like a sawmill or something in the town because there's a lot of saw blades. And,
so it's like, hey, look, there's saw blade, you pick it up and you
Yeah.
launch it, and it can decapitate the enemies and kill
it's-
them instantly.
And you just pick it back up.
Yep.
Just keep launching. And they ricochet, and there's all sorts of fun stuff with them, yeah.
Yeah, and there's a really fun, crazy preacher from the town who's out there.
That's right. Yeah,
helping
those
you
are,
along your way.
yeah.
That's his flock. And
That's his flock, yeah.
Yeah. So that's all tons of fun, and then from there, you ultimately get to the Resistance, and they give you the Dune buggy, and then you have to deal with the ant-lions.
Yeah.
And they look like the bugs from Starship Troopers.
They do, yes,
very
similar.
very close.
Smaller.
Yeah,
Thank God.
But if you step
they're not
on
20 feet tall.
if you step on the sand like in Dune,
Yeah.
they're going to come out and get you. So you have to be careful where you step
Yeah.
or where you drive. But then ultimately you meet up with one of the good guy aliens, and
The Vortigons?
Yes, and
Yeah.
he gives you like the pheromones essentially
Right.
for the antlions.
Right.
Then you can control
Then
them
you
and
can
start making
start
them
throwing
your
pheromone
minions.
grenades, and they start attacking whatever you want them to. It's
Yep.
pretty great.
And ultimately getting back to the city for the final confrontation with the
Mm-hmm.
big boss. But throughout the whole thing, there's the G-Man, the mysterious guy kind of pulling the strings.
Right.
So from the last game, you were working at the Black Mesa laboratory. When everything went down, they opened a portal to another dimension, and everything went to hell.
And then you're now in this dystopian world where humanity is not allowed to breed.
Right. I think it's set 20 years after the events of the
Right,
original.
and you've just been missing.
Well, you've been in stasis.
In stasis.
In stasis. So you start the game in stasis, you end the game in stasis
Yes.
after finally.
Yes, you
getting
are
through.
you are a tool in the hand of the G-Man, basically.
Mm-hmm.
Like you are the way to stop the bad guys from doing what they're going to do. The Combine.
Yes, the
Yeah.
Combine.
You are needed, but you're needed in fits and starts. So
Right.
you don't get to live a normal life. You're
Yeah.
there to fulfill what the universe needs from you.
So it's a great everyman kind of protagonist.
Yeah.
It doesn't need to like dig into your past trauma or any of this
No.
other stuff. No prolonged cutscenes. All the cutscenes are live.
Yes,
So-
you play through all the stuff. It's
as
great.
the characters are talking
Yep.
to you, or and only a couple times I think like on the teleport device are you limited to where you can move
Right.
because you're waiting to be teleported. But yeah, so it just has a great flow to it. Level design is 10 out of 10. But the only complaint, while the vehicle controls are good, they're not perfect.
Right,
but they're
which is
better than
forgivable
most.
considering the leaps and bounds that were being made.
Yeah, and because I think back to the aforementioned Halo and the Warthog,
Yeah.
which is notoriously difficult to get to control correctly.
Yes.
It's easy enough to
Once
get
you're in
going.
a straight line, it's fine. But
Yeah.
anything else you need to do is
The turning's a little
Turning's
weird.
a little weird.
But
I was just thinking, so you start off with a crowbar, and it got my gears turning. There are so many different games with so many different starting melee weapons. Because you have like crowbar, you have like the dagger in Wolfenstein, you've got a wrench in BioShock, I think.
maybe.
So yeah, I'm just like,
Ooh, Bioshock's another good.
that is another good one. We'll have to
Yeah.
go through that
Yeah.
whole series. There's bangers.
At least the first two. It gets a little political. The
Yeah,
third
I
one.
mean, whatever was it Infinite or whichever one takes place in the sky was.
Yeah. I kind of just gave up on it. 'cause
Well, I
was
mean,
like,
they
you're
kind of took different
beating me over the head with.
They were definitely beating you over the head with their
Yeah.
opinions. Anyway, but yeah, I was just like, oh, what is the best starting melee weapon in a game? Because crowbar's pretty legit, but my truck as my permanent personal defense has a giant wrench in it. I think I showed you that photo. Yeah. So I mean, it's like an antique pipe wrench that I got at a flea market, and like that's just my always in my truck personal defense. I'm like, yeah, maybe that's my favorite starting melee weapon.
Yeah,
So
good pipe wrench.
a good pipe wrench.
I mean-
they're the good weight distribution. Like, you get the swing going, then you have follow through no matter what. The crowbar, I mean, it's pretty even with its weight, so you don't have that follow through.
Yeah, but you have that hook that can really
That
embed
hook's
in the
pretty
skull.
great, though. I mean, detach boards from fences.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry, that's just a little
But that's
detour
a, that's a good thought.
Yeah. So now I want to maybe in a future episode we'll break down some of the best
tier lists of what's S tier for.
Yeah.
And why is S first? I don't even know. Is that
superior. I don't know. Why does it go above A? Shouldn't A be best?
Yeah, I don't know.
Maybe I didn't get any S's in school
No, me either.
or A's. Anyway, I don't know. I almost didn't come to shoot the podcast because I just wanted to play more Half-Life 2. So
Yeah,
just
and
firing it up. I'm like, oh crap. Yeah.
Thinking about it because we only decided less than 24 hours ago that this is what we're going to talk
Yeah,
about.
we only decided less than 24 hours ago we were going to film today because we got off schedule and we're trying to get back on.
Yep. But
Which is not to say our releases are going to change.
No.
We're trying to not be behind.
Yeah, and also, we're adults. We have plans.
Yes.
You schedule.
I scheduled Saturdays to be free for filming versus having plans. So this is what we do.
Blah, blah, blah. Go play Half-Life 2. It's a banger. You can often get it extremely cheap, sometimes even free on Steam.
Yeah.
And I do not have a powerful PC.
No.
And it runs it beautifully. You don't need expensive equipment.
No.
It's a great game. I also have Black Mesa, which is the remaster of Half-Life 1, which I have not played yet.
I'm afraid to go back to Half-Life 1. I won't lie.
It's not as good, and actually, I never played the entirety of the game because a friend had it. And I could play levels, but mostly just watched him play it.
Right.
So that was my main experience with the game. But
I don't think I beat Half-Life 1 ever.
I didn't because
because we didn't own it as kids, and I don't know when. I know I played it, but I don't know. Maybe the same friend.
Probably. Yeah. So it's one of those things. I got to finish Half-Life 2.
Yeah.
Finish Half-Life 2 Episode 1. Finish Half-Life 2 Episode 2.
Yeah.
Play Black Mesa, the remaster of Half-Life, and
then maybe by then Half-Life 3 will be out.
There, every year there's a
rumor every year,
and there's another one this year. Yeah. So maybe
Gabe.
Maybe this is the one.
You watch our podcast, we know it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But this has been Game On. Play Half-Life 2.
Game on! Game on!
We are winding down, as we always do, to our final subject, our final themed topic.
Our final segment, if you will.
There, that's the word.
Is affectionately known, not
blasphemously,
as Holy Crap.
Holy crap.
I had 80s and 90s Christian parents.
And they were gonna show people that weren't even saved Terminator 2!
Who could it have been? Saved!
I love this segment in general, but there are some weeks where I'm more excited to get to our chosen topic for it than others, and this one I'm thrilled. I'm really excited to talk about this one.
So the birth of today's theme actually comes from last time we had to cut short. You had to roll out. Where my mind was going, we were talking about Vacation Bible School, and ours was at this little Presbyterian church, which was on the other side of town from us, and my thought process was the mega church we were attending later on in our teens, we would have to pass this church. And most of our friends lived in Laurel.
Yeah, and we would all drive past.
And so the lead singer of my band and kind of like the leader of that group, we were kind of getting tired of the mega church thing. Yeah. And he was like, we should check out that little Presbyterian church on the way up here. I was like, I used to go to Vacation Bible School there. Yeah, they're great people. I know the pastor. He's a cool guy. And anyway, so that leads to what we're talking about, which is, I didn't know what else to call it except coincidences. Or maybe things just happening the way that they're supposed to.
Yeah.
Like the aforementioned megachurch, a lot of our friends from our first church had ended up there. We went to a different church for a spell, and then
we joined them later.
There,
yeah.
Which is where we found this group of people, which ultimately led to going to this.
So it's sort of a twofold, because in that group, we also started meeting in homes. So we started meeting with some of our peers and some guys that, I mean, it seems silly to call them elders now because they were only a few years older, but they were a little more mature in their faith than we were. They were, if we were 17 and 19, they were 22.
Maybe 25.
Maybe
a couple of the older guys.
A couple of the older guys might have been mid-20s. So
but you do make a lot of leaps in that time.
You do. So we were meeting on Friday nights with those guys and some very baby Christians, some guys that came to their faith just through meeting our group and the conversations that came from that. So while our Sunday service stuff is moving to this church, we're also looking for a home because our Friday group had outgrown a basement. We were pretty regularly getting close to 20 people. And while we started in our childhood home in our basement there, there's only really fit 6 or 7 people. And it's not a big house. So
and all that to say, ultimately, starting to go to that small church, led to here instead of people trying to co-opt it or make it part of their church.
Other local churches had offered us space with the unspoken caveat, we're gonna we're gonna basically try to take over.
Yeah, we'll take over, but
that's not what we were looking for. We were looking for something where we were a bunch of misfits. We were just looking for a place for us misfits to grow together and not necessarily be told how to be.
Yeah, but so when I proposed this topic to you, I was like, going to this church, you and I can each draw a direct line to meeting our wives.
Oh, yeah.
From this coincidence of...
Right.
Because we could have stayed at that church.
Sure we could have. Yep.
But we could have. But it just so happened we went there, and it led to a really important time in our lives, like just growing in our faith, but also in our friendships and in our independence and all these other things. But I remember the first day we went to this church. I don't know if you came the first time, because I think
I came pretty early, but I think you may have. I was still running sound at the youth group, so I think I don't think I left quite as early as you did.
Okay, but because it was primarily the guys in my band at the time and a few others. But I mean, we are all like punk hardcore kids, not mohawks, but
clothes.
We do not Sunday dress.
No one was in suits or tied. Everyone was in jeans, black t-shirts, tattoos, flannels, jewelry, wallet chains, all that stuff.
And we go to this hyper conservative small church.
Every grown adult is at least in a collared shirt.
Yep, and
most are in suits.
And what you judge a book by its cover. You look
like trouble.
We do. Half of us smell of cigarettes.
Yeah.
So it's just not a great look. Like, what are these guys coming here to, like, rob the offering baskets or something? But everyone was so incredibly loving. Mm-hmm. We got invited to like 10 different people's houses for lunch over the course of the first few months that we went there. Mm-hmm. And so they just quickly found out, like, hey, yeah, we may look this way, but we're all believers too, and blah, blah, blah. But they were so loving and so accepting. And we had met Toby, who was
Toby. Yeah, who is now a pastor, I believe.
Yeah, but he was a pastor's kid at this church, and he was friends with this guy, John. And John is the direct line to us meeting our wives. So
I did not realize it was Toby to John. I'd forgotten.
Yeah, so
it's been so long.
Yeah,
so John was one of the. I mean, we are still good friends, but he no longer lives in the state. But we were like the best of friends for several years.
Yes, and he went to a different church, but was friends with Toby and would sometimes visit this other place, and that's how we met him. Found out he was a guitarist, and not just a guitarist, like the guitarist.
Yeah, he lives in Nashville for a reason.
Yeah, he ended up joining my band at the time and took us from okay to great.
One of the greatest disappointments in my young life is finding out after my metal band broke up, he wanted to join it.
Oh.
Like, could you imagine having Dave and John as the two guitar players?
I could imagine watching from the audience.
Right, watching us on our world tour. Like, we...
No. Oh. If I were in it being pushed.
Yeah, there would have been... I mean, we would have had to reconfigure. We would have needed a different drummer. We would... Yeah, there's a lot of things that would have had to change.
But oh gosh, yes. But also just great dude.
Yeah.
And he grew up with my wife.
Yep.
And that's how I met her. And
then he got into... he got a full ride or a decent scholarship, I don't know if it was full, to Towson for their music program. And when he started attending a church up there, that's where my wife went, and that's how I met her. And so we met.
We started going to that church because we had... from this church that we're talking about, the pastor had moved on, and we were still on our not faith journey, I would say, because we were always believers, but we're growing up and figuring out what is it we're looking for in a body, what branch of the body of Christ fits us, and where So, which is to say, we have traveled in many different circles through many different types of churches, landing in different types, but both respecting and believing. There are many expressions of the body of Christ, as long as they're Bible believing, as long as they think Christ is king. Yeah, everything else.
Go where you fit.
Everything else is the toppings at the frozen yogurt place,
and getting spun up over debating what this, that, or the other. Like, guys, Christ is king. He's coming back. Read your Bible.
Yeah, there you go.
There you go.
Summarized. Yeah, you have just solved. Centuries of conflict.
I wish, right? Yeah. The family squabbles are kind of ridiculous.
But so this is where my brain was going, is one small decision led to so many things that are shaping for our entire lives. Not just meeting our wives, but meeting lifelong friends.
Other friends meeting their wives through this I mean, we can track at least a couple other marriages through that group.
So from our Friday group, where this church had a church house that originally was for the pastor, but was too kind of outdated.
Yeah, so they're like storage, and
they were like, hey, have your Friday night meetings here.
Right.
Hey, have your band practices here.
So our bands both practiced there on different nights.
Yeah.
Our Friday nights we had our little group.
Right, and friends of friends from people at that church would come, and that's how the drummer for my band met his future wife.
Right. Oh, I forgot about that one, because that wasn't on my list, because there's that. Obviously, the singer from your band met his wife as someone who was attending that church. You and I, more steps removed. John, through becoming friends with us, then met his wife in Virginia.
Who was the cousin of the singer of my band. Well, friend of the cousin of the singer.
Right, yeah. And then... then it's hard to say if our friend in Carolinas, Florida, wherever he is, he was dating someone when he joined the group, but then through those relationships and moving, and it's hard to say.
Yeah.
Well, he never would have known Jesus if it wasn't for that group, so he never would have met his wife, because he never would have gone to church. So.
Yeah.
There's at least 6 marriages that all happened as a result of that group being there at that time.
Yep,
it's crazy,
right? And friendships and connections and all types of things from just one little decision, and it just makes you think, of the atheistic mind view of this is all random,
right?
And it's all coincidence, as Adam Carolla calls it, the Great Magnet,
right?
Because he's not sure if he believes or not. It's where it's just something happens that just the cause and effect of one little decision, but. Just pulling back and looking at it.
Oh, it's nuts, man!
Like
it's absolutely nuts. And we don't even know the full impact, because there were dudes that we went to high school with that came to that Friday night group. Like seeds were sown. Like we don't know.
Yeah.
What kind of crop will grow.
Yeah, and pointing out too, at the time, I would not say in any way would we be like qualified expert evangelists. Just normal guys.
Guys that just had conversations and cared.
I remember this one guy. So a couple of the guys that we met through Brian ultimately came to the Lord and had a larger group of friends. And these were guys that I knew from high school and was afraid of,
right?
Because I didn't know where they stood, but they were just normal guys. They were just high school bravado, whatever.
Yeah, whatever.
So I became good friends with a lot of these guys for a time.
Yeah,
and one of them. We would often go to this pool hall because we were young men and needed a place to go.
24 hours.
Yeah, so it's 2 a.m. Where can we go?
Oh, let's go shoot pool.
Let's go shoot pool. And one of the guys were outside. We'd all been kind of, all of us who believed were just talking to the guys who didn't. And he's like, explain to me how God or Jesus exist without using the Bible.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh crap, I'm not qualified. Right. And I was like, all I can tell you is lived experience, personal experience. Right. I would also, I think I might have said it or thought it. I just remember from an old DC Talk record where it was an audio soundbite that was playing over one of the songs, and it's like, well, how do you believe in God if you can't see him? It's like, well, do you believe in the wind?
The wind, yeah.
Yeah, it's like I see the effects of the wind,
right?
But I don't see the wind itself.
It's funny because mentioned in Numbers, but I'm also in John because I try to do old and new, in the conversation with Nicodemus, Jesus talks about, when he's like being born again, he's like, well, you see the wind, you don't know where it comes from, you don't know where it's going. So DC Talks, Cliff was referencing what Jesus said to Nicodemus. So
decent Christian talk.
Christian talk. Not indecent, unchristian talk.
Not the District of Columbia.
No.
But decent Christian.
Decent Christian, yeah.
So thanks, DC Talk, for putting that little nugget. I don't think I ever got through to the guy. Because
you never know.
You never know, but it's like I'm not smart enough
that's one of those things
those
that
questions.
So in between when we last filmed and today, the patriarch of the Robinson family, Duck Dynasty, Phil Robertson, went to be with the Lord, and they were talking about the impact that one man, his one choice to follow Jesus, what that made, and they used Grok or ChatGPT or something just to be like, what was his reach? Like how many human beings heard Phil Robinson? Because if you heard him talk about Jesus.
Yep.
They're like, we estimate from Duck Dynasty and Duck Commander and all of the tours and everything that 4 million.
Wow.
4 million people heard a gospel message.
Wow.
Because he was.
Did you watch the movie of his life story?
My wife has. I have not, because she went to the theater to see it, and I wasn't available. I have it. I just haven't gotten.
Okay, I have the. I have the disc.
I have it.
Okay,
well. I just have not. It is in my get to it eventually, but yeah, I've heard it's awesome.
I've heard the story, and I think it's tamed down a little bit to make it more family friendly.
He was a bit of a wild man.
Yeah, but just to me, it's just so awesome because when God uses the outcasts and the wild ones,
they typically have more impact.
It's a theme throughout the Bible.
It is,
and yeah, so just an excellent man and so funny.
Yeah.
So if you've never seen Duck Dynasty, you don't have to be a hunter or a redneck.
No,
or
I mean, we're suburb kids, and growing up, that was not our experience. But watching the show's great.
Yeah, they are hilarious. So funny.
I like everything that I've seen them do. I mean, I've watched some. I'm not subscribed, but I've watched some episodes of some of their podcasts. I've watched their metal detecting show. I think that's hilarious. Yeah.
What hooked me on Duck Dynasty was one of the brothers comes in and the guys who just work on making the duck calls. Yeah. He had seen a bunch of ducks on the roof. Yeah. He's like, why are there or not ducks, but
decoys.
Decoys, thank you. And why are there a bunch of decoys up on the roof? We've been having a debate about how often the Google satellites come over or something like that. And it was just like,
yeah, totally get that.
I was locked in from that point forward.
I would have that debate and I would eventually go that way. Yeah, 100%.
And of course Uncle Cy.
Uncle Cy's great. Yeah. I love Cy.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's hi.
I mean,
hi.
But yeah, so
all of that to say, his impact was huge. We have no idea what our impact's going to be until the veil is lifted. But
right, minimal,
guess, but every conversation is a chance. And these people that we met, we never would have met any other way.
That's right.
And so the coincidence of winding up at this little Presbyterian church halfway between where we lived and where we used to go to church, I mean,
I guess all I would say to put a button on the whole thing, especially if you're a believer out there listening, is if you have that little thought, like, hey, maybe I should go check this place out.
Might be worth pursuing.
Maybe it's not just a random thought.
Yeah.
Maybe it's not a coincidence. Maybe it's not the great magnet drawing you. Maybe God has a plan and wants to move.
Bible. God's in the still small voice.
Yeah,
I'm living proof. Yeah.
Happily married for over 20 years, as it turns out.
15.
So I'm hitting 21 next month.
Next month, yeah.
Yeah, or a couple of weeks technically.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You're maybe 3 weeks, yeah.
Yep. Yeah. However, maths work for
because it's not
2.2 weeks.
2.2. Yeah. More than 2, less than 3.
And I already know because we took Mom out to that restaurant down that way. That's where I was like, you're gonna love it. We're going there. So yeah, good times. So I don't know if you have any other closing thoughts.
I mean, I have so many thoughts about that time in life that maybe there'll be a part 2 in the future.
I think there needs to be because
there's a lot to get into.
I want to roll back on meeting this other group of guys that went to our high school and kind of how things
there's a lot, and I think we talked about it briefly. There's also a lot surrounding that family, those cousins, the patriarch of that family. So there's a lot of touch points.
A lot of meat on them bones.
Yeah, all of it tying to a bunch of miscreants in Laurel who love Jesus.
Yeah.
And most of us are doing pretty okay.
Go figure, man.
Yeah.
Weird times.
Yeah, man.
All right. Well, this has been Holy Crap.
Yes, it has.
We've come to the end.
We have, and we stayed in the 90s for quite a bit, except, I mean, Half-Life was not quite, but close.
No, but a through line of coincidences.
Indeed.
A through line of 90s.
Yeah. And
it's almost like we're professionals, but only coincidentally.
I hope it's not glaringly obvious how little we prepare. I think it might actually come off as us being very well prepared.
It took a minute for the juices to flow for Half-Life 2.
Yeah.
Because I was like, it was all scrambled in my head. And I was like, what do I really want to talk about other than this game good, crowbar.
We didn't even get to Alex's robot, whose name I forget. Dog.
Yeah.
Dog's pretty great. Yeah.
We'll talk about some dogs sometime.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Well, I mean, I guess this maybe successfully concludes another episode of our podcast.
Brought to you by Celsius.
And HP computers.
Yes. No, HP printers.
HP printers.
The Tango specifically. Get your ink in the mail.
Valve.
Yep.
We gotta give time for our sponsors.
Yeah.
Also, where's the most money in the universe? United Arab Emirates, thank you for sponsoring.
I was going to say pharmaceuticals.
Pfizer, thank you for your sponsor.
Yeah. While you kill the population.
Yeah. I'll end on this post I saw on X. This will be my final comment.
All right, I'm done. So this is the final comment, unless it sparks one from me.
They banned the FDA or someone under Kennedy's leadership banned a chemical that is in Skittles that makes the inside bright white.
Some kind of like
some sort of
metal oxide of some kind.
Yeah, it's poison to make a candy bright white on the inside. And I suppose I was like, hooray! Now still don't need that garbage. Still don't give it to your kids.
Yeah.
True.
Yeah. Peace.